Columbo won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about
Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck. God. It's so funny how you watch movies and then you forget they exist, and then you watch them again 30 years later, and holy crap.
Yeah.
All the awfulness comes roaring back.
It is not a good movie.
It is not a good movie.
That's kind of the point of this month for July, for Independence Day.
Yeah.
We're doing bombs.
Summer bombs.
Summer bombs. And these are movies that did not do well.
That people thought were going to do well.
Yes.
Or should have done well, considering the pedigree.
Yes.
It's Howard the Duck. That's still iffy. But
George Lucas is a pretty big pedigree.
No, I realize. I'm talking about the IP, the Howard the Duck
Sure.
IP. But yes, George Lucas, I mean, he is the reason this movie got made.
Well, I think Hudson Hawk also wasn't quite a good IP, but we had...
yeah, but at least it was
Bruce
Willis, and it was like that was his baby, and like we'll get into that next week.
And we got Arnold with.
Well, Last Action Hero should have been a huge movie.
It was designed in a lab,
terribly misunderstood
to be a perfect. Yeah,
it's definitely the best of the three movies this month.
Well, it's a low bar, but
granted, we haven't. I need to watch it again.
Okay, so.
You saw this in the theater when it came out.
saw this in the theater when it came out.
Yeah.
I'm a big George Lucas fan, comic book fan. I was aware of Howard the Duck. I had read a couple of the comics, not the early 70s ones, but the the later ones, and I was intrigued. In the comics, he's more acerbic.
Yeah.
If you really want to see kind of what Howard the Duck was like in the comics, there was a 90s animated show called
Duckman.
which was basically Howard the Duck.
Essentially, yeah. Just kind of dry and hated everything.
Yes.
And it was more similar to how he's portrayed now in the MCU.
Yes.
With Seth Green doing his voice. It's a little more that. This, unfortunately, was a movie that had no idea what it wanted to be.
Or who it was for.
Yeah.
Or this is probably one of the worst directed movies I've ever seen. Big budget movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And misfiring on all cylinders, bad shots.
No.
Absolutely no control over his actors.
No. Bigger. I think Bigger was his number one note.
I think, I think that was the George Lucas model back then. Bigger, faster.
Yeah,
that was like the lament on Star Wars was
bigger, faster. That's true.
And,
yes,
and I think
William Huyck,
Mr. Huyck, took that to account. Not so much faster, but the bigger. Yes,
definitely the bigger. Yeah.
It is a wonder.
Unless you were Howard the Duck.
Right. Then you have to be extremely boring, very bland. It is a wonder that Tim Robbins had a career after this.
It's really amazing anybody had a career after this.
Well, look, Jeffrey Jones fares pretty well.
He does. He's actually one of the more interesting parts of the movie.
And Jeffrey Jones was an established actor.
Yes.
He knew what he was getting into. I think Lea Thompson was charming, absolutely charming.
She superseded the awful direction.
The fact that she could still be likable in that ridiculous seduction scene.
I literally couldn't watch it. I had to close my eyes. It was so cringy.
But poor Tim Robbins. So Tim Robbins, this is like his first big movie.
Yeah.
Big role in a big movie.
Bigger part. Yeah.
And he's like, George Lucas, Marvel Comics. And nobody really cared about Marvel Comics back then.
No.
But George Lucas,
he was Star Wars.
Exactly.
How would you not?
Exactly. So, but man, it's like 75 different performances in one movie.
Yeah.
With the range
it is
of
so all over the place.
Absurdity. And granted, it is not well written either.
No. It's, again, they didn't really know what they wanted it to be.
But I also don't know if they knew how human beings spoke.
They definitely didn't know. I'm sure that the director and the producer who co-wrote the script together had never actually been to a rock and roll club.
Oh my God. Okay. Before we get into it, I just have to make this. The 80s portrayal of punk rock is the most bizarre thing ever. Like, I went to punk shows, when I was in the 80s. I saw Fear and the Cramps and Butthole Surfers and all those guys. Dead Kennedys.
Yeah.
I said the Cramps. I said the Cramps.
You did.
I saw them twice.
You said 3 things.
Yes,
you
exactly.
said the Cramps was one of them.
So, yeah, nothing like this. First of all, it wasn't a punk club. It was a pop club with people that dressed like... I think cyberpunk comes from the 80s aesthetic of punk.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree. Yeah.
All the weird...
Yeah. Well, I think in the movie, they made it punk by putting the chain link fence up to keep the rowdy crowd away from... In the mind of the director and the producer, they were like, well, obviously, they're going to be bad. They're going to be badass because there's a chain link fence there.
Right.
Even though not one single beer was thrown at them.
Nope.
Nobody got into a fight except for Howard. And everyone was just like, yeah, it's a talking duck, whatever.
Yeah. If you want to do a punk club, don't have Thomas Dolby do your music.
Yeah, whose most famous song is She Blinded Me With Science.
She blinded me with science. Meow, meow, meow. Beep, which I love.
It's a great song.
This movie killed his career.
Oh, yeah.
This movie killed his career.
This movie killed a few people's careers.
Because the music was bad.
God, it was so bad, it almost killed some executives' careers.
Well, there's that rumor of the fight.
Yeah.
There's so much to get into. Let's just start. It's just crazy that this movie was even made, and I'll explain my theory of why it was made later.
Oh, I know. I'm pretty sure I know why it was made.
Yeah.
I mean, you had 2 magical words that everyone immediately attached their wagon to.
George Lucas.
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure I know why George wanted to make the movie. We talked about it.
Yes,
and I'll get
but
into that.
I know that every single time someone said, well, okay, so it's about this talking duck, and he's from space. People were like, what? And it's like, well, it's George Lucas. Sign me up.
Yeah, because so many different executives passed on Star Wars.
Yeah.
And
it made so much money.
And Raiders.
Yes.
And, and so...
He was striking gold.
Exactly. So the one time they overestimated him.
Oh, my God. All right, well, take yourself back. 1986.
Yeah.
May 25th, hands across America, at least 5 million people form a human chain from New York City to Long Beach, California, to raise money to fight hunger and homelessness.
Could you imagine that today? No, there's no way.
No, would 2,500,000 people would be dead.
It wouldn't be just one giant brawl.
Yeah. It would be, a lot of people would get run over. It would be bad.
Oh, what happened?
June 23rd, Eric Thomas develops Listserv, the first email list management software.
Nice.
Yeah, so emails all the way back in 86.
And 3 minutes after that, somebody's aunt sent a conspiracy theory to the whole family.
And 40 different spam companies popped up.
Exactly.
July 4th, the Statue of Liberty is reopened to the public after celebrating its centennial and an extensive refurbishment.
Yeah, that was actually a big deal. Yeah. I remember that because it did get pretty nasty.
Yeah, it was pretty gross.
But New York was pretty gross. I mean...
in the 80s? Yeah.
70s. Yeah, 80s was the refurbishment.
But they were trying to fix it.
It was the beginning of the Disneyfication of Times Square.
Gotta get rid of the porn and all the druggies.
Gotta get rid of all of the personality and everything that makes New York cool.
August 1st, Howard the Duck is released in theaters.
Howard the Duck.
Yeah. I can't believe that George Clinton co-wrote that song.
Yeah. Well, look, we talked about this yesterday. I think these songs might have been better if Thomas Dolby sang them.
And I agree. I disagree with you wholeheartedly.
I'd like to hear him.
I think Lea Thompson did a fantastic job.
I'm not saying she was bad.
I don't think that I don't think that would have helped at all.
She blinded me with science.
Yeah. He doesn't even sing. He literally talks. Yeah. I don't know. No.
Well, we'll see. We'll have to go to his concert when he does
We'll get him on the phone and see if he'll sing Howard the Duck.
Twice a year at the Hollywood Bowl, he does the Howard the Duck soundtrack concert.
So Howard the Duck was created by writer Steve Gerber, based very loosely on his college friend Howard Talkman and artist Val Myrick. Not based on Val Myrick. He actually drew Howard the Duck first. Howard the Duck first appeared in Adventure into Fear number 19, cover dated December of 1973, and several subsequent series have chronicled the misadventures of the ill-tempered anthropomorphic animal trapped on a human-dominated Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Echoing this, the most common tagline of his comics reads,
"Trapped in a world he never made."
Did you catch that line in the movie?
Yeah, but it's so stupid. Like, I don't get that.
I know.
Who makes their world?
I gotta be honest. I kind of think Howard the Duck, the comic, is really dumb. I never understood the appeal of the character. I've read some of the comics.
Yeah.
They were kind of boring. Steve Gerber actually kind of agrees that they're kind of boring.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get why... Even 14 years later, in 1986, after he was created, I don't know why someone would go, yes, this would make a great movie.
Well, you're not a duckhead. And,
No, I am not. No, I am not.
Yeah, look, Howard the Duck is a pretty obscure character. It was brought back by James Gunn, because James Gunn loves obscure characters.
Well, and the movie has gained, like, notoriety because it's so awful.
Right.
So, I mean... people grew up with it. It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Showgirls. It's a fun, bad watch.
Yeah.
You know, you have a lot of really good actors doing really bad work and saying crazy lines. You have some decent special effects. It's just, it was really doomed from the beginning. It was doomed after they got rid of, well, we'll talk about it. But yeah, I mean, they made a lot of really bad decisions on this movie.
So Howard's adventures in the comics are generally social satires, while a few are parodies of genre fiction with a metafictional awareness of the medium. He would break the fourth wall a lot.
Right.
George Lucas attended film school with Willard Huyck and Gloria Katz, who later co-wrote American Graffiti with George Lucas.
Nice.
Yeah, so they can write.
When they're shepherded.
Sure.
I'm sure the story was given to them.
After the film's production concluded, Lucas told Huyck and Katz about the comic book, describing the series as being
very funny
and praising its elements of film noir and absurdism. Huyck and Katz were married and worked exclusively together, with Katz producing, Huyck directing, and collaborating on scripts for a number of movies.
Good Lord, that's too much time together, man.
I know.
Are they still married, do you know?
I believe that William Huyck is dead.
Oh, so no.
No, they are not.
He killed himself because he couldn't.
Either she died or he died in like 2017.
Murder.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Murder suicide.
They wrote, produced, and directed Messiah of Evil in 1974, a horror movie I've never heard of.
Neither have I.
French Postcards in 1979, a coming-of-age teen comedy.
Oh.
Again, never heard of this.
I probably saw it if there was nudity in it.
Probably.
I was 13. I was a detective for nudity.
Best Defense in 1984, an action comedy starring Dudley Moore and Eddie Murphy. Sort of. The film did not originally feature Eddie Murphy's character and was solely a Dudley Moore film.
Yeah, comedy in question marks?
The film's preview screenings were received poorly, and the studio suggested filming a role for Eddie Murphy, who was at the peak of his popularity. Murphy's part was almost completely unconnected from the rest of the film, and his character never even comes into contact with any of the main cast.
Hey, guys. It's Bob.
Yeah.
Bob, the executive.
This was your idea, wasn't it?
Oh, of course, yeah. I was like, look, this movie's a stinkeroo, which I love. Look, I love stinks.
You like it when movies lose money.
Oh, my God. Well, not lose money, but I like it when people hate it and it ruins their lives.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm big on remakes and reboots.
Yeah.
Reimaginings. But yeah, I was like, let's throw $1 million, Eddie Murphy, just drop him in the film, just drop him anywhere. I don't care. And fool the audience. They'll come in, think it's an Eddie Murphy movie.
Well, it works because everyone hated the movie.
One of my crowning achievements.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah. See my kids?
All right. Nope.
All right. Well, I haven't seen them for weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, well. Yikes.
So, Huyck and Katz also wrote screenplays that were used by other directors, such as Lucky Lady in 1975, directed by Stanley Donen, and starring Liza Minnelli, Gene Hackman, Burt Reynolds, and Robert Benson.
So, it's not a bad movie. I've seen this movie.
I honestly think that when they are working for other people, they're much better writers.
But it's not a great movie. It's like it's a forgettable movie. But yeah.
They also wrote Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom in 1984, directed by Steven Spielberg.
Again, shepherded.
Yeah. In 1984, Lucas actually relinquished his presidency of Lucasfilm to focus on producing movies. We had talked about this in our Star Wars episode, so please listen to that whole month. But he had gotten so busy after the release of Empire and like doing Return of the Jedi and then running Lucasfilm and like he was just like, I want to get back into doing movies.
Right.
Yeah. Lucas wanted John Landis to direct the film, but Landis declined. Very smart move on his part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, was this before or after the Twilight Zone fiasco?
This would be before.
Yeah. So I think he actually turned this down to do Twilight Zone.
That's very possible. I don't know, because the thing is that the dates are weird because he started talking about doing this movie. Lucas started talking about doing this in like 1974.
Oh, wow.
So like, I mean, it was something that he had been kicking around for a long time. But the funny thing is that the reason that Landis declined the movie was because he thought the end with all the police car crashes was too close to the police car crashes in Blues Brothers.
Ah, okay.
So he was like, I already did that. I'm not going to do that again.
All right. Could have changed it, but okay.
Instead, he's going to go film a movie. I know, he could have. And it's not like I didn't think that the police car crashes at the end of this movie were anything like Blues Brothers.
Should have stuck to police car crashes and not helicopter crashes.
Oh.
There'd be a few people alive.
Womp, womp, womp.
I'm just saying.
Jeez.
Somebody had to say it.
Katz, and Lucas began to seriously consider adapting Howard the Duck as a film and met with Gerber to discuss the project. The film was optioned by Universal Studios after a partnership with Marvel Comics. According to Martin Antonowski, Sidney Sheinberg lobbied very hard for Howard the Duck because the studio had passed on previous projects in which Lucas was involved, which had been very successful.
Hey, look, Sheinberg's absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
And, even though people were like, are you sure, George? Sure about this?
But he had turned 2 properties that people didn't believe were going to be anything into gold. So,
I'm telling you, Howard the Duck is going to be the biggest movie of the decade.
The irony is that Sidney Sheinberg denied any involvement in Howard the Duck, claiming that he never even read the screenplay.
Hey, don't put that stink on me!
I guarantee you, he saw the script, goes, it's a duck? Oh, it's George Lucas. Let's do it.
Talking duck.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Is he getting on with this girl? Oh, I'm in. Sign me up.
Huyck and Katz strongly felt that the film should be animated, which would have made much more sense.
Sure.
Because Universal needed a film for a summer release, and thinking that animating the film would take too long or cost too much, Lucas suggested that the film could be produced in live action with special effects created by ILM, his special effects company.
Industrial Light and Magic.
Correct. In truth, a contractual obligation required Lucas to provide a distributor with a live-action film, so he decided to make the film using live actors and to use special effects for Howard.
Okay.
While several TV adaptations of Marvel characters had aired, Howard the Duck would be the second theatrical release since the Captain America serial of 1944.
That's crazy.
It has been erroneously reported that Howard the Duck is the first movie since that Captain America serial in the theater. Mm. But Red Sonja was released in 1985, which is actually based on the Marvel comic and not the Conan writer guy's novels.
The Arthur Conan Doyle?
Yeah, Arthur Conan Doyle, yeah. No, it's like Robert E. Howard or something, or I don't remember the guy's name.
It's John Heinlein.
Sure. But it was actually, yeah. So technically that was the first of the modern age. That was the first Marvel movie.
Bunch of sexists trying to deny Red Sonja her due.
Early on in production, it was decided that the personality of the character would be changed from that of the comics, in which Howard was rude and obnoxious, to make the character nicer.
Well, that was the first mistake.
Correct.
The first big mistake.
Gerber read over the script and
offered...
Well,
first big mistake was making it live action.
Well, yes. Gerber read over the script and offered his comments and suggestions. During the screenwriting process, a stronger emphasis was placed on special effects rather than satire and story.
Mistake number 3.
Overall, the tone of the film is in diametric opposition to the comics, whereas Katz declared...
It's a film about a duck from outer space. It's not supposed to be an existential experience. We're supposed to have fun with the concept, but for some reason, reviewers weren't able to get over that problem.
Gerber declared that the comic book series was an existential joke, stating...
This is no joke. There it is. The cosmic giggle. The funniest gag in the universe. Life's most serious moments and most incredibly dumb moments are often distinguishable only by a momentary point of view. Anyone who doesn't believe this probably cannot enjoy reading A Howard the Duck.
Then that must be me, then. Because I've not enjoyed the Howard the Duck series.
That's just a variation on the you're too dumb to get it, which that argument always irks me because no, I can get something and not like it.
Right.
No,
exactly.
You didn't like it. I liked it. I was going to go back, and I'll do this before the Stepdad show, but I was going to go back and look at some comics online.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get a sense again, and and see if it is as bad or as good as
Sure.
Not.
I mean, maybe, granted, I was much younger when I was reading it, so maybe it just was over my head at that time.
Maybe you just didn't like the existential stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. That could very well be. However, after shooting was finished, Gerber stated that he felt the film was faithful to both the spirit of the comic book and the characters of Howard and Beverly.
All right.
My guess is it was an interview probably promoting the movie because he was trying to make money.
Yeah.
From everything I've read, Steve Gerber's kind of a dick.
No.
But I it's just the stuff I've read.
Well, the original title of the character was Howard the Dick.
Yeah.
And then he was like,
I can't draw penises everywhere.
No. It was a literal anthropomorphic dick.
Literally, yeah, anthropomorphic dick.
I did not know that. That's
Howard the Dick. Yeah! So it took upwards of 14 people to bring Howard the Duck to life.
Oh, man.
There were apparently 8 different people who were inside the suit.
At once? They must have been tiny.
Tiny people. Tiny people. Technically, Jordan Prentice was the first. They actually so the 2 main people that were in the suit were Jordan Prentice and Ed Gale.
Okay,
both of them are they have dwarfism.
Right.
Ed Gale is much taller than Jordan Prentice, and they actually originally said no. You're too tall for this, so they hired Jordan Prentice to do it. He was only 13 when he did the suit performing.
Yeah, he was young.
He was very young, and he also apparently was not very good at it. And they had Ed Gale do some of it, and because he was so much taller, they realized it was so much harder to cut between the two, so they ended up reshooting all of Jordan Prentice's stuff with Ed Gale in the suit. Yeah, and he's still in the movie. Jordan Prentice is in the movie a little bit. He actually went on to appear in 2 American Pie movies, American Pie Presents movies. Sorry, it was the awful direct-to-home video
Band Camp and
Band Camp. But he played Jimmy in Bruges.
Okay.
The little dwarf in Bruges. So he was good. Ed Gale did wear the suit the most, so he received the suit performer credit. Howard the Duck was his first feature film, but he would go on to play Chucky in Child's Play 2, and Bride of Chucky.
Wow.
He was the guy in the suit. He also played Dink in Spaceballs, as well as appearing in Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Who's Dink?
All those little dinks were the Jawas.
Oh, okay. Use the Schwartz.
Yeah. Tim Rose, Steve Sleep, Peter Baird, Mary Wells, and Lisa Stirs were all Howard the Duck puppeteers. Tim Rose is most well known for playing Admiral Akbar in the Star Wars series. Yeah. He also appeared as, he also puppeteered Salacious B. Crumb in Return of the Jedi. It's funny, I was writing all this and I was like, man, there's so many connections to Star Wars. Keep forgetting that George Lucas was producing the movie.
Yes.
Peter Baird he had worked on the Muppets movie and the Muppets Take Manhattan.
Okay.
His last credit is on Team America World Police before he unfortunately passed away from esophageal cancer at the age of 52.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So young.
He was a great puppeteer. He was
my God. And Team America World Police is genius.
Oh, so genius.
Absolute genius.
Such a great movie.
If you're a fan of the old Thunderbirds.
Oh, yeah.
Puppet shows.
If you're a fan of South Park.
Yes.
It's got a great, it's really funny.
Very good.
Matt Damon. Yeah. Sorry. Chip Zien was the voice of Howard the Duck. Huyck and Katz auditioned a number of actors, including John Cusack, Robin Williams, and Martin Short for Howard's voice.
Oh, amazing.
Martin Short would have been incredible.
I think he would have been the best.
He would have been the best.
And I would say him, then John Cusack, because John Cusack at the time was kind of the voice of the generation.
Yeah.
You know? He was kind of the subversive,
If
romantic lead.
the character was more like he was in the comics, I think John Cusack would have been perfect.
Yeah. Robin Williams would have been great, but Robin Williams, it would have just been watching the Genie again from...
Well, the Genie before.
We would have watched the first performance of the Genie.
So they actually had Williams working on it. He actually worked for about a week before he quit, stating...
I can't do this. It's insane. I can't get the rhythm of this. I'm being confined. I'm being handcuffed in order to match the flapping of Duck's bill.
Yeah, as a result, Chip Zien was cast because the filmmakers felt his nasal voice suited the part.
Yes, I'm very boring.
The whole deal was that they shot the movie first and then did all the voiceover for Howard the Duck.
Well, that was dumb. I mean, you can't do that with...
No, when you're doing puppets and stuff, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, if you're working with Robin Williams, it's impossible.
Yeah,
the guy doesn't know how to follow a script, especially back then.
Yeah.
He was still on cocaine.
Yeah. All of Howard's lines were read on set by the puppeteers, and they just said the lines. They didn't actually do any performing.
Kind of like that came out in the movie.
Yeah. Chip Zien is best known for creating the lead role of the baker in the original Broadway production of the musical Into the Woods by Stephen Sondheim.
Of course.
Yeah. Zien has had a very long career, appearing in dozens of TV shows and films and many theater projects. He most recently can be seen on the American version of the British TV show Ghosts.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you saw him, you would totally recognize him.
He's a character actor, and he's a much better actor than he is as doing voice of Howard the Duck in this movie.
And he looks like an accountant.
Yeah, he does.
He looks like your father's accountant. It was a thankless part.
Yeah, it was set up to fail.
Well, it sucked all the personality out of him.
Well, they needed either a much better actor to be able to do the matching, or they should have done all the voice work first.
Right.
I mean, it was just setting anybody up to fail. It would have been so hard.
Mistake number 6, I think we're at.
Yeah. Lea Thompson was cast as Beverly Switzler.
Oh my God, I had such a huge crush on her. Such a huge crush.
Between this and Back to the Future and Red Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. After auditioning a number of actresses, singers, and models for the role of Beverly, Lea Thompson was cast due to her appearance in Back to the Future. Thompson studied ballet as a girl and was dancing professionally by age 14, winning scholarships to the San Francisco Ballet, the Pennsylvania Ballet, and the American Ballet Theater.
Never knew that.
Yeah. The funny thing is that at the age of 20, Thompson was dancing with the American Ballet Theater studio company. Mikhail Baryshnikov, the very famous Russian ballet dancer, who was the artistic director at the time, told her,
"You are a lovely dancer, but you are too stocky."
Oh, so rude. Wants to hear that. So rude. She said it was
my epiphany when I decided to stop dancing and not be a ballet dancer. It was a wonderful moment because I could have been banging my head against the wall for another 10 years. And F him for calling me stocky.
Well, you know what? At least she saw the silver lining in the guy being a dick.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, it's
What is word? You are too pudgy.
Cow.
Pudgy to
you
be.
Are cow.
You are American cow. Burgers and fries.
Full of fat.
Yes. So.
Which is hilarious because she is
skinnier than
a very lithe. Like, it doesn't surprise me that she was a ballet dancer. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay.
I think maybe she was too short. I think that's what he was saying.
Maybe stocky meaning short.
Maybe in Russian. That. Maybe stocky means short.
You need to be taller, like willow-like.
You need to grow and have long legs, not little stubby legs like stocky stubs.
Again, you are like cow.
Yes.
Thompson changed her focus to acting and moved to New York at the age of 20.
Again.
Yeah, fallback.
Another athlete, and I do consider ballet dancing.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's very athletic. Another athlete whose fallback is becoming an actor.
Is an actor, yeah.
Again, acting is the easiest job
God, it's like
world.
You should have been famous, Jim. What happened?
You have to be an athlete first, Adam. And I didn't
you
have
played football? What are you talking about?
In high school.
Yeah.
Badly.
Yeah. She appeared in a number of Burger King advertisements in the 1980s with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Elizabeth Shue.
I remember those.
I kind of do, too. I didn't realize Elizabeth Shue seems more familiar in those. Yeah. I don't remember Sarah Michelle Gellar, but Well,
Sarah Michelle Gellar. Whatever. Actually, I'm not sure. I think that's how she...
I'm just going to say Gellar.
Well, it's Prince Jr. now.
Much like the name on... It's like the same name in Friends. They're the Gellers.
Ross Geller?
Yeah, Ross and Monica Geller.
What's Gellar? But
it's Geller.
She's made a point of use. Anyway,
I don't care.
She was very young. She's younger than them.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's why.
She was like a very. I think, if I remember correctly, Lea Thompson worked at the Burger King.
No.
And I think the other one worked at the Burger King. And then
I just remember her in a uniform.
Or it could be Mandela Effect. I don't know, man. It's been 1,000 years.
True. She made her movie debut in 1983 with Jaws 3D, that amazing Jaws sequel.
Oh, my God. July 4th, I used to watch all the Jaws movies in sequence.
Yeah.
And I would drink, because you have to.
Yeah.
And I'd have to be I'd be like half in the bag by 3 and then fully in the bag by 4, and that's the only way you can enjoy them. Although 3 is so bad that it's kind of enjoyable. And I did see that in the theater, and I did see it in 3D.
Nice.
3D was awful.
Oh, yeah. It was not good back then. She had lied and said she knew all about water skiing when in reality she didn't even know how to swim.
I love actors,
She
man.
apparently had to learn all of these like very intricate like water skiing like tricks in like 5 days.
Holy crap.
But she did it. She was like, okay,
learned how to swim too.
Yeah. For Howard the Duck, Thompson purchased clothing from thrift stores because she wanted to appear at the audition as
a cross between Madonna and Cyndi Lauper.
Yes.
That's
Cyndi
how you
Lauper.
pronounce it.
Yeah.
If you watch just one of the guys.
Lauper.
That's the only thing I remember from that movie.
Really? That's the only thing you remember from
that
movie?
and her flashing.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, is that the only thing you remember from that movie?
Two things, her flashing and him.
The only thing I remember from that movie is the second thing you only remember from that movie.
Who are you, Cyndi Lauper?
Cyndi Lauper?
It's just a crazy...
Thompson also states that she regrets not wearing a wig as her hairstyle took 2 hours a day to prepare.
It was insane, man.
It was the most crimping I've ever seen on anyone ever.
It's movies like this that give 80s style that crazy... Because it wasn't... Look, people look at these movies and they're like, look at the way the punk's dressed and look at the hair and stuff. It was... yes, there was big hair. 100% big hair. But that was crazy big.
It was insane. It was insane. Thompson did all of the singing for the band in the film. She still has the Les Paul Cherry Bomb guitar and still plays it occasionally. Thompson can most recently be seen in The Spencer Sisters, a Canadian TV show, and can be heard in an episode of Invincible.
Nice.
She did a guest spot on one of the second season episodes.
Her daughter is becoming Zoe Deutsch.
Yeah, because she married Howard Deutsch.
Deutsch.
Tim Robbins was cast as Phil Blumbert.
Never has there been a better actor with a more inauspicious debut.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically he was in other movies before this, but this was the first thing that people noticed him for.
I had noticed him from TV. I really liked him. I loved him just from a tiny little part that he did on Moonlighting. I thought he was he was another guy that was like, who's he?
Right.
He's very watchable. I'm looking out for this guy.
I know that his choices in Howard the Duck are very over the top, but at least I found him to be somewhat entertaining.
Well, he did calm down a bit towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm curious. I'm really curious, like, what the schedule was of shooting to see if the really, really bad acting that he does, if they shot that first, and then as he got a little more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, probably. They also, I'm pretty sure some of those scenes had to be reshot, so maybe he was like, well, I'm not going to do it the way I did it before. It's
too exhausting.
He's like, who knows? I mean, I don't know. His first TV appearance was as a terrorist on an episode of St. Elsewhere.
Remember that?
Yeah. He would then make appearances on Hardcastle McCormick, The Love Boat, Hill Street Blues, and the second episode of Moonlighting.
Yep. He played a hitman.
Yeah. Robbins' first feature was Toy Soldiers in 1984, a terrible B-action movie. That same year, he played a bit part in No Small Affair with John Cryer and Demi Moore. I don't know if you remember that movie.
I do remember. John Cryer played a photographer, and Demi Moore was like this singer, and he had a crush on her, but she had mental problems, and then they got together, but they didn't. It wasn't bad. It was like a guilty pleasure when I was a youngin'.
Okay. Robbins said in a later interview that he doesn't look back negatively at the film at Howard the Duck, as he
got this big job that was paying a really decent salary, and it was for George Lucas, so it was a huge deal at the time. And then it wound up going over its shooting schedule, and I ended up getting paid twice for that movie because of all the overtime.
All right, hey, good for you.
I love how all he remembers is the money.
He made money.
Well, I would imagine that as an actor, the first big paycheck you get is a really big deal.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, he definitely thinks more about the money he ever made than the quality of the movie. He does not care.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's no real comparison.
No. Despite making appearances in The Sure Thing and Top Gun, Robbins didn't get his first lead until Bull Durham with Kevin Costner.
Yeah, I always forget he was Merlin in Top Gun.
Yeah. And it's so funny because there's only like one real shot where it's like, oh yeah, it's Tim Robbins. Otherwise, he's kind of hidden away in the back. Like, I think he has one line, maybe two lines.
I think in The Sure Thing, he's like the roommate or friend of John Cusack before he takes off on the trip.
Yeah. Robbins would be nominated for Best Director at the Academy Awards in 1996 for Dead Man Walking, losing to Mel Gibson for Braveheart.
Man, I totally forgot that Tim Robbins was a director.
Yeah.
And a very good one,
Good one, yeah. He's a good director.
His debut, Bob Roberts?
Bob Roberts, yeah. Which he wrote and directed.
Yeah, that's really clever.
He's a brilliant entertainer.
And it's Jack Black's first movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's from our Mars Attack show.
Yeah. Tim Robbins would win an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in 2004 for Mystic River.
Great movie, man.
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie, and I always forget. I need to watch it again. It's been a long time, but it's a great movie.
Isn't that Clint Eastwood?
Yeah.
God.
Based on the Dennis Lehane novel.
Yeah. God damn, you forget.
Eastwood has done some amazing He's done movies. Like 100,000 movies.
I know, but you forget some of the. I mean, because they're not all.
No, they're not all like
classics,
award baits.
No, but this one,
Mystic River was great,
amazing,
and even just thinking, it was like, yes, I didn't realize he won Best Supporting Actor for it, but thinking about it in the movie, it's like, of course he did, because he's so good in it. Yeah,
is that my daughter right there?
He's so good. He most recently can be seen in the TV show Silo.
Oh, nice.
He was really great in Silo, though. He's really good.
He's an amazing actor and an amazing director.
Jeffrey Jones was cast as Dr. Walter Jennings.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I know. God, this is that moment when I just want to look him in the face and be like, I'm so disappointed in you, man.
Yeah.
So disappointed.
Oh, God.
He's such a good actor.
Also, you look into his face, and it's not that surprising.
So Jones actually started in theater, appearing in more than 125 productions. It was his work in Cloud Nine and in an off-Broadway play that Milos Forman saw and then cast him as Emperor Joseph II in Amadeus.
Yeah. Forgot he was in Amadeus.
His role in Amadeus is what earned him a role in Howard the Duck. I haven't seen Amadeus. We'll have to cover it at some point. I have not seen that movie since probably 30 years.
Same, since it came out. Yeah. It's not one that I wanted to rewatch every year.
No, but I haven't. But I know when I saw it, I was very young.
Yes.
And I think I'll appreciate it a lot more now.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That same year that Howard the Duck came out, Jones was also in Ferris Bueller's Day Off as Principal Rooney in perhaps his most famous movie role.
Oh, my God. The credit sequence of a defeated and demoralized Rooney getting on the bus and having to sit there.
With the school bus with all the kids. And
It's like... it's been in my pocket. It's warm.
Would you like to go?
His looks on it. He's just was
he
so
just
good.
Flicks it across.
That was an impeccable role. Impeccable.
It was a perfect part.
Such the perfect foil for Ferris.
Yeah.
And
so brilliant.
And just so well done.
The lengths he was willing to go to try to catch him.
Oh my God.
It was brilliant. It was amazing.
And then the beautiful twist of his sister.
Yeah.
Coming to his aid. Because you know what? Don't F with family, Adam.
Don't F with family. That's right. Ohana means family.
Ohana means family.
He would appear in Beetlejuice in 1988, which led him to work with Tim Burton on Ed Wood in 1984 and Sleepy Hollow in 1999.
Great in all of those movies. In Beetlejuice, he's just such a normal dude.
It was so nice because up to that point, I'd only seen him in this weird, like being weird and doing weird stuff. And he was just the dad.
Yeah.
And he was so down to earth, and it was such a nice change of pace for him. It's like, no, you are a really good actor.
Yeah.
Because he was so loving with Lydia and it was so great.
Yeah, just such a
Again, Jesus Christ, I'm so disappointed.
Yeah, well, you know who's not in the sequel, Beetlejuice.
Well, whoa. No,
not everybody in Hollywood is.
Yeah. Jones has had a long career in television, most notably with Disney. Jones hosted the 1987 DTV Monster Hits musical special as The Magic Mirror, which I actually remember that, and later co-starred with Tyra Banks, Kathy Najimy, and Kevin Pollak in the video storyline portion of the Walt Disney World attraction Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter, a staple of Tomorrowland from 1995 to 2003.
That's in Disney World, right?
Yeah. Following leads into an investigation of Paul Rubens when I didn't look deep into what the investigation was because this was way after the whole incident, in the porn theater.
This was okay. So from what I remember, what happened is Paul Rubens had a vintage collection of photographs.
Okay,
and he had also old erotica and things.
Yeah,
these vintage photographs, and within his collection there were some dubious photographs.
Yeah,
weren't necessarily child pornography, but led to a investigation.
Right. Okay.
And then when they investigated Paul Rubens, they didn't find anything.
Right.
As far as I'm
I don't think so. No, I'm pretty sure, because I remember when it was happening being like, oh, it's the porn theater all over again. And then they were kind of like, well, it was nothing. It's all the pictures are 100 years old. Nobody's,
Right. And but caught up in that investigation was
Jeffrey Jones. Yeah, he was arrested in 2002 for possession of child pornography and soliciting a 14-year-old boy to produce sexually explicit images between September 2000 and to May 2001.
Strangely enough, he wanted the boy to dress as a duck.
Yeah, it would be funny. It wouldn't be funny. It'd be sad.
This is my favorite movie. That would be the sickest thing about him if that was his favorite movie.
Jones photographed the child and paid him to pose nude on multiple occasions wearing a cowboy hat with stuffed animals and dressed as a Native American.
Okay.
Yeah. Jones surrendered himself and was released on bond prior to arraignment. Jones pleaded not guilty to the possession charge and no contest to a charge of soliciting a minor.
Ugh.
The victim initiated a separate civil action against Jones seeking damages and compensation. The misdemeanor charge of possession of child pornography was dropped following the no contest plea. His attorney emphasized there was no allegation of improper physical contact.
Okay.
His punishment was 5 years probation, counseling, and the requirement to register as a sex offender. Funny enough, he was arrested twice for failing to update his sex offender status, first in Florida in 2004, and then when he moved back to California in 2010. He pleaded guilty to the felony charges in California, receiving a 250-hour community service sentence and an additional 3 years probation. As of 2021, Jones was listed on the California Department of Justice National Sex Offender Database. He did not spend any time in jail for it.
That's which Hollywood for you, baby.
It's better for him because child pornographers are not treated well in prison.
Well, I mean,
rightfully so.
Of course, but yeah. From all intents and purposes, it seems like he didn't act on his impulses.
No. Agreed.
But the exploitation of children in child pornography is horrible. It's child trafficking.
It's bad. Despite his judgment, Jones was cast as A.W. Merrick in Deadwood from 2004 to 2006, appearing in 33 episodes as well as the movie in 2019.
Which he was great.
He was great in it. He has not done a lot of other stuff. It makes me sad because he is such a good actor.
But I can't watch him now without that taint. I mean, that's the problem.
The whole time we were watching, it's like, he's one of the best things about this movie.
Yes.
But he photographed a kid naked. Like, I can't, that's always the next thought. It's like, ugh. It's just disappointing.
Very.
Very disappointed in you, Jeffrey Jones.
I don't care.
David Paymer was cast as Larry. His full name, Larry Scientist.
Larry Scientist.
Paymer's acting career began in 1979 with the film The In-Laws, starring Alan Arkin and Peter Falk.
What a great movie.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it. Paymer has appeared in more than over 90 films in his career. He's also appeared in many popular television shows, including
Taxi, Happy Days, LA Law, Cheers, Ghost Whisperer, Law and Order Special Victims Unit, Entourage, Different Strokes, The Good Wife, Family Ties, Cheers, Murphy Brown, and The Larry Sanders Show.
He is 100% one of those guys that when you see him, you go, oh, it's that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember his Law and Order Special Victims.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was pretty creepy.
But he was like a pedophile or something.
Probably.
Yeah.
They're either pedophiles or lawyers. Or
sometimes both. Yeah. Paymer was nominated for an Academy Award for Mr. Saturday Night in 1992, losing to Gene Hackman for The Unforgiven.
Yeah, he played Billy Crystal's brother.
Yeah. Paymer would also start directing with a ton of TV credits to his name. In fact, he does more directing than he does acting.
Yeah.
Paymer will next be seen in Bad Shabbos, a film that won the Audience Award at the Tribeca Film Festival.
Interesting. And he also looks a lot and sounds a lot like my friend Matthew Hoffman.
He does.
Yeah.
Paul Guilfoyle was cast as Lieutenant Welker.
Yeah, you know Paul.
He's another one of those character actors that you see him and it's like, yeah, that guy.
He was on, well, we'll get into it.
Guilfoyle is a character actor that has appeared in many TV shows and films. Films include
Beverly Hills Cop 2, 3 Men and a Baby, Wall Street, The Serpent and the Rainbow, Cadillac Man, True Colors, Hoffa, and Quiz Show.
He's perhaps most well known for playing Captain Jim Brass on CSI Crime Scene Investigation from 2000 to 2014, appearing in 317 episodes. Number one, did not realize there were that many episodes of that show.
The show's been on for like 30 years.
It went on forever, yeah. He's most recently can be seen in Arthur the King, the dog movie starring Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, I know. I love dogs.
Yeah.
But,
can't stand Mark Wahlberg.
This might be a Mark Wahlberg role that I can stomach.
Yeah, but it's not. It could be good. I mean, he again, Mark Wahlberg, very good in his very narrow range. Mm-hmm. Maybe opposite a dog, he's pretty good.
Hey, that dog is following us. hey, dog, what you doing? I don't know. Let's go. Hey.
Liz Sagal was cast as Ronette.
Oh my God, I had such a huge crush on her and her sister.
Yeah,
and I had no idea about what you're about to say.
She is the daughter of director Boris Sagal and stepdaughter of Marge Champion. In addition to her twin sister Jean Sagal, two of her other siblings, older sister Katie Sagal and brother Jory Sagal, are notable in the industry, and her other brother David Sagal is an attorney married to actress McNally Sagal.
It's a lot of Sagals.
A lot of Sagals. I'm pretty sure Boris Sagal was the director who had his head cut off in a helicopter accident. Do you remember that? We talked about it.
Yeah, that was on...
During a miniseries. He was filming the beginning of a miniseries, and he died in the first or second day.
It was... wasn't he supposed to direct the...
Day after? Yes.
But he was doing...
He was doing a different...
Him?
I'm pretty sure that was him.
Yeah, because I remember... Yes, it was him, because we were like, holy crap,
oh my God, that's Katie Sagal's father.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. Her dad walked into a friggin'
It was the tail rotor. Yeah.
Still?
I know. But I mean, like, he just wasn't paying attention.
The most crazy part of that story is he didn't die right away. He died like 12 hours later or something.
They flew him from elsewhere and got him on the helicopter that tried to kill him, and then they flew him away to a... Yeah.
Could you imagine seeing that?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Sagal and her twin sister served for a time as the Doublemint twins in the ad campaign by Doublemint Gum. The pair also appeared together as cheerleaders in the 1982 movie Grease 2. In the 1980s, Liz and Gene starred in the television series Double Trouble that ran from 84 to 85.
Yeah, I love that show.
She was all of them. Katie, Gene, Liz. They were all very pretty. Like they're all
still very pretty, Adam.
Yes, actually, Katie Sagal is very pretty. Sagal has worked as a writer on such shows as Mad About You, Monk, and Charmed, also serving as executive story editor on Charmed.
Oh, nice. She did the pivot.
Yeah. She also wrote for the Netflix reboot of Lost in Space.
Cool. People really like that.
And most recently wrote for the Netflix show Cowboy Bebop.
Okay. I didn't hate that the way everybody did. I kind of enjoyed it.
But she's pivoted, and now she writes all the time now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Dominique Davalos was cast as Cal. She was the bassist in the Cherry Bomb
Yeah,
band.
she was.
Yeah. Davalos was formerly in the band Dominatrix, whose controversial music video single The Dominatrix Sleeps Tonight, released in 1984, was deemed too racy for its time. The song's video, directed by Beth B., featured a fur and stocking-clad Davalos.
Ooh.
Yeah. Commercial radio stations banned the single, and MTV refused to air the risque video.
The things that they were banned for, it's pretty quaint.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay. In 2012, the video was placed on display in the Contemporary Art Wing of the Museum of Modern Art in New York City.
Nice. She's still alive?
Yeah, she's around.
Still doing music?
She's doing music still. I don't think she does any acting anymore. Oh. Holly Robinson was cast as Casey, the keyboard player in Cherry Bomb.
Another big old crush.
Robinson's dad played the original Gordon on Sesame Street, where Robinson made her TV debut.
Yeah, she was a puppet.
I had no idea she was a puppet. Yeah.
And then she became a real girl.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what Pinocchio is based on.
There was a great thing where she made her her debut on the show. She's supposed to be, "Hi, Gordon," and she kept going, "Hi, Daddy," and they had to redo it like 50 times because she just kept saying, "Hi, Daddy."
The director came up like, "Look, Holly, one more time and you're fired. You understand what fired means? You little loser."
Yeah.
That was her father.
Who's your daddy now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Robinson was then cast in 21 Jump Street with Johnny Depp, appearing in 102 episodes of the show.
Yeah, she was one of the
Judy
Hopps. But she was one of the few cast members to do the entire run.
Yeah. In 1992, she was cast in Hangin' with Mr. Cooper, co-starring Mark Curry, appearing in 101 episodes of the show.
Mark Curry, who was in Armageddon.
We just
saw.
Talked about, Howard the Duck was her feature film debut. Since 2015, she has mostly appeared in holiday-themed TV movies. She would be married to NFL pro Rodney Peete and appear in a couple of reality shows about their family, For Pete's Sake and Meet the Peets.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of her TV appearances now are as herself. Like, she's essentially now just Holly Robinson Peete appearing on things.
Holly Robinson Peete.
Yeah.
And there's an E at the end of there's 3 E's in Pete.
There is 3 E's in Pete.
It's a lot of E's.
It's a lot of E's. Other notable actors appearing in Howard the Duck: Tommy Swerdlow as Ginger Moss. He was the first manager for the band.
Right.
As an actor, Swerdlow appeared in Real Genius, Spaceballs, and Child's Play. He also wrote Cool Runnings, Little Giants, and Snow Dogs.
Nice.
Which I was like, oh, yeah.
Cool Runnings, man.
Cool Running, yeah. Oh, I love John Candy.
Everybody did.
Richard Edson was cast as Richie. Edson started as an art rocker, but has appeared in 35 movies and TV shows, most notable as the parking garage attendant that takes the car for a joyride in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, and I remember him playing a character calling somebody else Richie. Hey, Richie.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, Richie? Why are you coming after me like that, Richie?
Miles Chapin was cast as Carter. Chapin is the son of Steinway & Sons founder Henry Steinway.
Ooh.
He was, Carter was the Jeffrey Jones' assistant, or like the guy that was with him.
Right.
When they walked in on the illicit duck sex scene.
Ooh, that's unnatural. They just kind of blew that off pretty quickly, too.
Yeah. It was like, okay. Paul Comey was cast as Dr. Chapin, which is ironic since there is someone named Miles Chapin in the movie.
Yes.
Comey appeared in the Twilight Zone episode People Are Alike All Over and had a supporting role on The Towering Inferno.
Listen to our Towering Inferno episode.
Yeah, he was Paul Newman's second in command in Towering Inferno.
Right.
Yeah, firefighter. Miguel Sandoval was the bar entertainment supervisor. Sandoval works with Alex Cox quite frequently, having made appearances in Repo Man, Straight to Hell, and Sid and Nancy.
Yeah, you probably remember him from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, he's been in a ton of stuff. I mean, he's another one of those actors that, like, you see him and you're like, oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah, it's funny to see him young and skinny where he's always kind of old and portly.
Yes, he's definitely got a little fluffy.
But he works all the time.
All the time. He's probably most well known for appearing in 130 episodes of Medium, the Patricia Arquette paranormal drama.
Oh, yeah.
It's 130 episodes. I didn't realize that show ran that long.
Yeah, man. People love Medium.
Crazy. William Hall was cast as Officer Hansen. He was one of the Nazis in the final Ark scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark. He also appeared in Leonard Part 6.
Oh, yeah. The greatest movie
of all
ever
time.
made.
Perhaps the only movie worse than Howard the Duck.
It is way worse, man.
Richard Kiley as the Cosmos. He did the narration at the beginning. Kiley was the tour guide voice in Jurassic Park.
That's Richard Kiley. We spared no expense.
Yeah. John Fleck was cast as Pimples. He was one of the guys who tried to essentially rape Lea Thompson in the beginning of the movie. Fleck is a performance artist that has appeared in 6 different Star Trek series. It was really interesting. He actually sued the National Endowment for the Arts because he was supposed to get a endowment from them, and then they said, oh no, your stuff is too risque or whatever. And there were like 6 of them. They all sued and they won.
Nice.
It went to the Supreme Court and they won. Yeah.
Remember when the Supreme Court did the right thing?
No.
That was crazy.
No. I don't remember anything. No. Howard was initially intended to be a fully computerized character, but these attempts proved unsuccessful.
Okay. This is where I want to talk.
Yes.
So this is why I believe, A, that George Lucas wanted to make the movie.
Yeah.
Because he had...
he had a new CGI company.
Exactly.
That he was starting.
And George Lucas famously produced some projects basically just as tests for future special effects.
Yeah, like, for example, Radioland
Murders. Thank you. I always get Radio Days and
Radioland Murders.
Very different movies. Radioland Murders with Brian Benben, he produced so he could try out the digital sets that he used in the prequel trilogy.
Right.
And I think this was so he could... I don't know what's going on with my voice. I'm like, your little boy. He produced this so he could test out this new technology. And I think...
I think this is why he was like, live action, sure, but Howard will be animated.
And then
CGI animated.
B or 2, I don't know if I said 1 or A. Once that was determined not to be the case, I think he lost interest. And
I think he stepped away.
Yes. And then when he stepped away, that's when it all fell apart. Yeah.
That was when he just probably signed off on everything. Whatever.
It would have been interesting to see what CG would look like, which wouldn't be very good. I mean,
it wouldn't be very good. And that's probably why they didn't do it.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't going to work.
Yeah, I mean, they just didn't have the power to make it as convincing as it is today.
Right.
And even today, there's a lot of Uncanny Valley stuff.
Yeah. The really ironic thing of the whole thing is that William Huyck and Gloria Katz actually co-wrote Radioland Murders.
Well, of course. And Radioland Murders is not a bad movie.
Yeah.
But I think more guidance from Lucas and story. I think Lucas came up with the story for Radioland Murders.
Oh, yeah.
And,
it's always him, yeah.
And same with American Graffiti.
Yeah.
That was based on his childhood.
Well, and Temple of Doom, it was his story idea. They just fleshed it out.
And that was Spielberg and Lucas making an Indiana Jones movie.
You know that Spielberg very heavily...
They ain't going Howard the Duck that one, baby. No. But, I think once... And again, never directed a movie before. Did he?
Who? William Huyck?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You did?
This is like their 5th movie.
That he directed?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Then he should have known better.
Yeah. Yeah, or maybe 4th movie. Yeah, it was... But again, I think it was just Lucas. All right, well, you guys got this. You're fine. And then it was oh, boy.
I guess we got it, sure.
Yeah. The idea of fully puppeteering Howard was explored, but the filmmakers determined they would need an actor in a suit to portray him for much of the film. Lucasfilm built animatronic suits, costumes, and puppets. Because of the limited preparation time, various ducks created for the film would explode or lose feathers, and multiple ducks were built with the wrong proportions.
Good Lord, the exploding ducks. Was that with people in it?
I don't know. I assume. Maybe the bill shot off or something. I don't know. The eyeballs exploded.
I thought the suit was pretty impressive.
Except for the fact that he showed zero motion.
Well, yes. He looked to me... And I next time you watch this, if you ever watch this again, he looks like Macaulay Culkin. He's got Macaulay Culkin's eyes.
Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird.
It is.
Yeah. On the first day of shooting, the crew realized the poor quality when they found that the inside of the puppet's neck was visible when its mouth opened.
Ugh.
Yeah. Which is funny because that would be essentially where the actors were looking out of.
Right.
So you just see these weird eyes inside his mouth. Hey.
Look at me.
Huyck repeatedly reshot scenes involving Howard as the animatronics were improved. Because multiple puppeteers were in charge of controlling different parts of the animatronic body, Huyck was able to coordinate the shoot properly.
Yeah, this is the Jaws syndrome, where you have the main part of your movie is constantly malfunctioning, not working the way it should, and that's got to be extremely frustrating. And I will say that probably part of the problem with this movie was all of the duck problems.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I agree. The opening sequence where Howard's chair is propelled out of his apartment used wires that were later digitally erased by a computer. This was actually the first use of this technique, which would soon become popular and was used in films such as Back to the Future Part 2, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and The Matrix.
Yeah, it's incredible. And the funny thing is, if you watch stuff before this, you can see
so obvious.
And some really big movies, like even like Superman.
Yeah.
You can see the wires at certain points.
Just a little bit. Yeah, every once in a while.
If you're looking for them,
you'll
find them.
They're there, that's for sure. The effect of the feathers on Howard's head becoming erect during the love sequence took months to prepare.
And it was so worth it, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, that erection joke made the movie.
The ultralight sequence was difficult, requiring intense coordination, and actors Robbins and Gale to actually fly the plane.
Okay, for those of you who don't remember, there was a time, and it was the late 70s,
at least it was early 80s.
Where you could order these kits, these ultralight kits, and they were basically gliders with lawnmower,
like a lawnmower motor,
on the back, and you put it together, and you could basically. My stepdad and I almost got one of those.
Wow, yeah.
Because it was on like Real People or something. It was always showing up. But then there were a lot of accidents.
Yeah.
A lot of people died.
Yeah.
Big surprise.
Not shocking. People that don't know how to fly are suddenly flying essentially lawnmowers into the sky.
Yes, and you could see from the flying in this movie that it was not the easiest thing to fly, and you put it in the hands of a bunch of amateurs.
And the fact that they're making this poor man inside a duck costume fly the plane. This is part of the reason why Tim Robbins got very serious during that sequence.
Yeah.
Because he was probably going to die.
Well, it was not very safe.
No, it was not. Makeup artist Tom Berman and Barry Drybend Berman and actor Jones discussed the appearance of the Dark Overlord with Huyck and Katz and developed the character's progressing looks.
I am not the Doctor anymore. I am another being whose name I won't tell you because the script is awful.
I'm sorry. He literally said, and I quote, "I am no longer him. I am someone else."
I am no longer him. I am someone else.
What? Who says that?
Bad writers? Well, you don't got a name, dummy?
I can't believe that Jeffrey Jones didn't go, This is what you want me to say?
Yeah. Just say it. Look, his character forgot the names of his real name and the name of the thing that he was going to become.
I am the Dark Overlord. Yeah. When Katz's daughter visited during filming, she was actually terrified by Jones' appearance in the makeup. And I will say, the makeup, that progression, because it starts when he gets into the diner.
Yeah.
And then every time they cut back to him, he looks worse.
Yeah.
So they had to have redone that makeup like 20 times.
Yeah, and then he ends up looking like a deranged Einstein by the end.
He does. Jones provided the altered voice of Jennings during his possession by the Dark Overlord,
with a slight bit of enhancement every now and then,
by sound designer Ben Burt, who did the sound design for Star Wars.
My favorite behind-the-scenes Star Wars film or snippet, whatever, is Bill Burt. My favorite part of Star Wars behind-the-scenes clips is Ben Burt going around with this little recorder and like bing, hitting like a barbed wire thing and being like, and then him putting them all together. It's just, it made brilliant. One of my favorite things is creating sound because it's just so much fun.
It is.
And he was the best.
Oh, he was so good. Stop motion effects during the climax were designed by Phil Tippett, who began with a clay model before upgrading to more sophisticated pieces. Phil Tippett did like the Rancor monster and a bunch of stuff in the Star Wars movies.
Oh, yeah.
And he also just had a movie released, I think, last year called Mad God, which he worked on for 30 years.
Good God. Mad God.
It's on Shudder, so if you want to watch it. Apparently it's really good.
I do want to watch it.
But it's all it's all the claymation. But he worked on it like his garage for 30 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. There's some rancor in that monster.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
and,
for sure.
It's definitely a Tippett creation. I think, didn't he also do the Coneheads?
Yes.
Because there's a lot of
there's a lot of those big, weird, scorpiony looking monsters.
Yeah, there's a very definite tippet.
Yeah, he has a style, a very definite look, yeah.
And it's very fun.
Thomas Dolby, who had the hit She Blinded Me with Science in 1982, wrote the Cherry Bomb songs used in the movie.
She blinded me with science.
With George Clinton
Clinton?
With George Clinton helping with a few songs, including the theme song. Thomas Dolby can be seen as the bartender in the Rock and Roll Club.
Yeah, poor Thomas Dolby. Not very good songs.
No, they're really not.
They're horrible. And that one part, too, where Howard...
Oh, yeah.
Turns on the Casio.
He's essentially starting playing Howard the Duck.
And he's like, meep, meep, mop, meep, meep. It's so out of tune and so awful sounding. And then...
it's just something I was working on.
Oh, that sounds awesome, Howard.
Yeah.
Howie.
Or the fact that they're in the club and they're playing that super slow, depressing song.
Yeah.
And then literally, I really want to believe that it was Lea Thompson just being like, I'm not doing this. Yeah. And they're just being like, this is slow and sad. And then they started playing something heavier. It's like...
Yeah, not punk rock. None of those songs are punk rock.
No.
Thomas Dolby is not punk rock.
No, he is not.
He is synth pop.
He is synth pop. When the film was screened for Universal, Katz said that the studio's executives left without commenting on the film.
Let's get out of here.
Screenings for test audiences were met with mixed response. Huyck said that test screenings
went all right.
And?
People laughed.
But Katz claimed she...
tore up
negative response cards so that they could say...
Hey, we got 95% on the screening.
Yeah. When you hedge your bets, of course it's going to fail.
Yeah.
Like what?
No.
Rumors circulated that Universal Production heads Frank Price and Sidney Sheinberg engaged in a fistfight after arguing over who was to blame for greenlighting the film.
That sounds stupid. I don't believe that.
They both deny the rumors. I think it got heated. But the fact that, of course, somebody's like, oh, yeah, they were about to throw punches. And then someone else was like, what? They got in a fight? Yeah.
It's like telephone.
Yeah.
You, greenlit Sheinberg. You were the one, Sheinberg. Don't put that mess on me.
It was all you, Price.
No,
it was all you.
No, Sheinberg. I'm going to punch you in the face.
I will punch you in the face first.
I'll get my lawyer.
I'm going to use some duck foo.
Ah.
Which also is so stupid. I'm sorry. It was so stupid.
The duck foo?
Yeah.
Well, everything, man. Like, all of the... First of all, who has that many movie posters in their home as Howard the Duck does? And it was just to have a bunch of visual...
you have some. I have some.
Okay. Granted, we have a lot. All right. Just screwed up my whole thing. But the main reason was just so they could have all those visual gags.
All those... It's just like our world, but kind of duckified.
But only duckier.
You duckier, yeah. I guarantee you William Huyck said that. It's duckier.
Huck rhymes with duck.
Yeah. Howard the Duck received mainly negative reviews from critics. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune gave 1 star out of 4, called it a...
stupid film.
And said...
The story has no center, the duck is not likable, and the special effects are less impressive than a sparkler on a birthday cake.
Oh, he has a way with words.
Special effects weren't that bad for the time.
No. Honestly, the suit was really good. The face just need to have more animation.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was a good movie, but...
and I liked all the special effects with the Dark Overlord and like all that stuff. Yeah. It was fun.
Gene Siskel.
Gene Siskel?
Gene Siskel really loves his own writing.
He does.
Or he did before he died.
You know how much he jerked off to less impressive than a sparkle on her birthday cake?
Like 8 times.
At least. On their television show, both Siskel and his co-host Roger Ebert complained that the movie was not enough of a comedy and that Howard should have been given either the Groucho Marx-like personality from his comic books or a fun Donald Duck-like persona.
Well, that's the same thing. Donald Duck was a grump.
Yeah.
Donald Duck wasn't like a happy-go-lucky.
They wanted it to not be the way it was.
Donald Duck sucks. Maybe they were thinking of Daffy Duck, because Daffy Duck is entertaining. I hate Donald Duck. He was boring and stupid.
Donald Duck is just annoying.
Disney could eat my butt.
The film grossed $16.2 million in the United States and $21.6 million worldwide for a total of $37.9 million, just covering the $36 million budget.
See, it wasn't a bomb. It actually made a profit.
Did not include any of the advertising. So it lost money. According to reports at the time of the movie's release, George Lucas had just built the $50 million Skywalker Ranch complex and was counting on this film to get him back in the black.
Oh, bad. He should have spent a little bit more time shepherding it then, George.
When it bombed, he was forced to start selling off assets to stay afloat. His friend Steve Jobs, the CEO of Apple Computer, offered to help by buying Lucasfilm's newly launched CGI animation division for a price well above market value.
I guess so, Steve. I mean, I'm not using it because I didn't use it on Howard the Duck, which ruined me.
Lucas, in dire straits and thankful for the assistance, agreed. That division eventually became Pixar Animation Studios.
Damn it!
Huyck and Katz had left the ending open-ended in hopes of doing a sequel.
Strangely enough, by the way, Disney now owns both Pixar and Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I know.
So
Disney wins.
Disney always wins.
Once the movie bombed, talks of a sequel ceased. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, well, let's get one. Let's get one going now.
William Huyck would not direct another feature film for the rest of his career.
Yeah, that was his penance.
Yeah. The reaction to the film also had a negative effect on the cast, who found themselves unable to work on other projects because of the film.
I'm surprised that poor Tim Robbins ever got another role.
I know.
You know, he came across the worst.
I don't know.
He
got better as the movie progressed.
Yes, but, you know, coming in and being like, I'm here with pizza and to watch you guys change. Yeah, it's just like, who is he?
Well, in that whole scene where he runs in and is like, I found it! It's the... Never mind. And then he leaves.
Exactly.
It was like, what was the hell? What was the point of that?
Hey, did you clean up that vomit? I'm not really a scientist. It's just everything was stupid. And you're like, oh, is he going to be... What's so weird about this movie is the way Howard the Duck is treated, man.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes he's treated like, oh my God, it's an alien. Let's freak the F out. And then other times it's like, oh, look, there's a little duck. Who cares? Let's just beat him up. And then... oh, there's an anthropomorphic duck who's talking and everything. Let's cook him and eat him.
Yeah. Very odd reactions.
I would have let the aliens come down and destroy the Earth because we didn't deserve to live.
Yeah.
If that's what humanity is.
That is incorrect choice number 27.
Yes.
Howard should have let the Dark Overlords kill the Earth.
Well, because with the exception of Lea Thompson, nobody in the film is likable.
No.
Nobody. And even her, I mean, the only reason she gets a pass is because of just the sheer charm of Lea Thompson.
Yeah.
Because in any other actor, it would have been so creeps and gross. It's still creeps and gross. I mean, she's like, he's my boyfriend. And it's like, well, is he now? Now, is it... are you togetger now?
Yeah.
Now, like, with the
sequel... It's just that one line, and then everyone's like, really? And then they just start to murder him anyway.
It's... well, we're going to eat your boyfriend. You want a piece?
Well, because the whole sex scene, like, it was really obvious she was doing it just to, like, kind of get his goat.
Yeah.
But then it turned into something else,
and
it was like, what is going on in this movie?
And then it was the, the caught at the wrong time by people, but then they didn't even really care. It wasn't like a big deal, the whole bestiality thing.
The fact that they just walked in when she could have been with anybody or alone and naked, like, and then the door was open.
Yeah, the door was open.
I just brought these two random dudes.
Yeah, just walked right in. And was the door open, Tim Robbins? Yeah. Or was it unlocked?
It was unlocked.
Because that means you should have knocked.
Yeah, you should have knocked anyway, regardless. If the door was open, no, you knock and shout out because you assume something's wrong.
It's these little idiocies that ruin a movie sometimes.
Or like when Tim Robbins was randomly arrested and then brought over to another location, and he's just sitting in the back and holds up, I was arrested.
I got arrested for interrupting the police or whatever.
He just said I got arrested. They never explained why.
Well, that was the whole thing. They just keep giving poor Tim Robbins the exposition of explaining the inanity of the movie. The door was open. I got arrested at the Science Institute. Yeah, okay.
None of it made sense.
None of it. And it's just, it's a quick, like, people aren't going to believe this, Huyck. Well, we'll just give Tim Robbins a line, and that'll explain it all. Have him do it in his completely unconvincing acting style that somehow I've supported for this entire film.
I still think he's better than you think in this movie.
Well, no, because Tim Robbins is such an exceptional artist that watching, it's like Eddie Redmayne, right?
Yeah.
Watching, the first thing I saw him in was that dumb...
Jupiter Ascending.
Yes, thank you. Which was the worst performance I had seen that year out of any actor ever. And and that's the first thing I ever saw him in. And I cannot watch Eddie Redmayne without thinking of that. Right. And I don't like him as an actor now. Yeah. And frankly, I didn't see the one where he plays the trans woman and some of his... The only other things I've seen are those horrible Harry Potter spin-offs.
The Beasts movies.
Where he's just like, what are you doing? Anyway, don't get me started on him, but I think...
we're not talking about Eddie Redmayne. You brought up Eddie Redmayne.
But that's the thing. I think Tim Robbins' performance is just so all over the place and sloppy. And
he definitely gets much better and more Tim Robbins and less crazy by the end of the movie.
Yes, and then he settles into... Because it's almost like they didn't know what his purpose was for the first two-thirds of the movie.
Yeah.
And he just... And I don't think he was explained what his character was supposed to be.
It seemed like he was going to be like a love interest for Lea Thompson, but then it was like, oh no, the love interest is actually the duck. And then it was like, well, then what was the point of him being in this movie?
Right. When his love interest was the twin. The
which
Sagal
he ended
girl.
up dating.
They keep getting back together. She's bad. That was the whole thing when he comes in. He's like, I brought you pizza and I'll watch you guys change. And they're like, and then against her better judgment, she got back together with me. And it's just like,
the whole thing was weird. It was all weird.
Just shut up.
So the bad press at the opening weekend had Lea Thompson accepting a role in Some Kind of Wonderful, which she had refused previously because, as she said,
I had to get on another movie. I wouldn't have done the movie if Howard wasn't such a bomb. Now, Some Kind of Wonderful wasn't that bad a movie, and what I'm thinking is probably her thinking is she's playing more adult roles now, and she didn't want to go back to doing a high school girl
some kind of
and playing the object o desire, because her part is thankless in Some Kind of Wonderful. Not a bad movie, but it's not a Lea Thompson vehicle.
No,
it's
doesn't
an
have
Eric Stoltz
characters have a
vehicle.
lot of depth. Yeah. According to Ed Gale, he was hired to work on Spaceballs because Mel Brooks had said,
anybody who's in Howard the Duck can be in my movie.
Gale also said he receives more fan mail for his Howard the Duck portrayal than for his Chucky performances.
Yeah, there's no
accounting for taste.
No accounting for taste. Thank you, Adam.
After the film's release, Huyck and Katz chose to work on more dramatic projects to separate themselves from Howard the Duck.
Sure, and what a mensch Mel Brooks is, by the way.
Of course.
I just love him so much. They're doing a new Spaceballs that he's producing.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They shouldn't.
He's producing it, so, I mean, at least he'll be there to...
Will he be there, though? He's 1,000 years old.
That's true. That is true.
He also produced the...
the History of the World Part 2?
Yes.
Yeah. Katz said Lucas continued to support the film after its failure because he felt it would later be seen in a better light than it had been at the time of its release. That time still hasn't come yet.
Well, it will, Adam. It will.
Huyck said that he later encountered fans and supporters of the film who felt it had been unfairly treated by critics. When asked where they were, he couldn't find them.
What are their names, Huyck? Johnny Critic.
Tammy Mom.
Bobby Watch a Movie. I don't know.
Howard the Duck.
Howard T. Duck.
Lea Thompson said she had fun making the film and is happy to find fans
celebrating Howard the Duck in all its great silliness and blemishes.
God, this just more proves how Lea Thompson's just amazing.
She is amazing, and yes, look, it is, to me, it is akin to like Madam Web. Or
you watch it with your friends.
Or Showgirls.
Make fun of it. Watch it. You're going to get bored sometimes.
Sure.
It'll be nice to have somebody there to bounce jokes off of.
But I told you this too. I enjoyed this more than I did Armageddon.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't soulless.
Right.
It at least tried to have fun with itself, you know?
Yeah. Tried. In retrospect, Huyck and Katz suggested that the film
could have had more Ted-like tone.
And?
Been edgier and dirtier.
But at the same time...
Universal wanted a family-friendly movie.
Yeah.
Did they?
Blame the execs.
But did they? I mean, there were
boobs. There were duck boobs at the beginning. I do not remember the duck boobs when I first saw this movie.
The gratuitous duck boobs.
I mean, very obviously nipples.
Yeah.
Very obvious.
It was very creepy, and as a young boy, very confusing. Every time I saw a chicken breast, I got aroused for like 3 years. But
every time I'm at the pond and I see the ducks.
But actually,
get out of the pond, Adam. What are you doing?
There's a restraining order from the Parks Department. It's really not family friendly. There's some really frightening things in it.
Yeah.
And the little duck condom. I mean, that's the thing. They didn't know whether they wanted teens or kids.
It was all over the place.
All over the place. And
bad direction.
Yes, because it's the kind of direction that is probably like stuff's not working on set.
Yeah.
So let's just try something, or let's go away and rewrite the scene.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that you overwork it until it's dead, or you just never had anything to begin with.
Right.
And it's just. But again, watching a young Tim Robbins, watching a gorgeous young Lea Thompson, who, all the right moves and Back to the Future. I mean, she was she should have been a bigger star, in my opinion.
I agree.
I mean, she did end up doing that TV show, Caroline in the City. Was that her?
Yes.
That she did? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So she had a very big TV.
I mean, she's had a good career.
Yeah. I just think
she
should
hasn't
have
been as big
star.
of a huge film star as she should have been.
She should have been.
She's so charming and cute and
very
just, like,
adorable. Very, and
like,
that sounds cloying, but it's not.
She was good.
It is a talent to be strong and adorable at the same time.
Yeah.
And especially at that time when a lot of parts for women were very thankless.
They were more Some Kind of Wonderful than Howard the Duck.
Yes, you're the objet de desire.
Yeah.
Or, you're the girlfriend, or you're the wife, or
you're the one that needs to get saved. Yeah.
Or the accessory, or whatever it is. Yeah. And her performance in this is well-rounded.
It's good.
She's spunky, and she's tough, and she's, it's something that we haven't really seen her play that before or since. And for her, I think she comes off pretty unscathed in this.
I agree.
Even though she's got one of the creepiest scenes, I will still say that this scene is sexier, and they have a lot more chemistry than Ben Affleck and Liv Tyler did in Armageddon.
I would actually agree with you on that one. Yes.
And I'll watch that creepy seduction scene in Howard the Duck 1,000 times before I have to watch that stupid animal cracker scene again.
Yeah.
But she was able to escape all of the stuff that could have ruined any other actor's career, because she had that wink in her eye when she was like, "Okay, Howard, let's do it."
Yeah. She was believable in everything. Yes. Like I believed that she could convincingly become friends with an alien duck.
Yes, she did a great job. But unfortunately, she wasn't enough to save the movie.
No. It was nominated for 7 Razzie Awards, or Golden Raspberries, as they call them, the official Golden Raspberries.
Yeah.
It actually won 4 of them, which tied for the most that year, along with the Prince vehicle, Under the Cherry Moon. Funny enough, every category it didn't win a Razzie for, Under the Cherry Moon did win, and it actually tied for Worst Picture with Under the Cherry Moon.
Under the Cherry Moon was such a disappointment,
man. I've never seen it.
I'm a Prince super fan.
Yeah.
Super fan. And I saw that movie in the theater and was just like, what the F am I watching?
I did not even realize, I'd forgotten that this movie existed until I saw the category for Worst Picture for Razzies for 1986.
It's just heartbreaking. It's just like, Prince, get back on stage, buddy.
Yeah. So Howard the Duck, like I said, tied for Worst Pick with Under the Cherry Moon, but it also won Worst Screenplay, Worst New Star, which was everybody that was Howard the Duck, and then Worst Visual Effects. Funny enough, it lost Worst Direction to Prince, who directed Under the Cherry Moon.
Yeah, that was Prince's... Again, sometimes it's like the Bruce Willis effect. Sometimes stars get to be so big that they believe they can do everything.
Yes.
And they can't. We're looking at you, Bruce Willis, in the Return of Bruno album, in our movie that we're covering next week, Hudson Hawk. Yeah. But, I think this was Prince's last.
I believe it was his last film.
Into film.
Yeah, in fact, I don't think he actually did any acting until The New Girl, when he appeared on The New Girl.
He was also on The Muppets.
Oh, no, that's right.
Because he did that great rendition of Starfish and Coffee.
That's right.
It was one of the newer Muppet shows.
But it was more music-based, yeah.
But he was still like...
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, he was obviously, yes.
He did stuff. And he was great on New Girl, by the way.
He was so good.
I love him so much. His death just wrecked me, man. Because he and Tom Waits are my 2 favorites.
He's brilliant. Brilliant musician.
The world lost one of its superstars that day.
So in 1997, Steve Gerber expressed his overall dissatisfaction with the film, saying...
what can I say? It sucks. In retrospective, though, after 11 years that have brought us so many worse films, it's not quite as sucky as the reviews might have led you to believe. Still, there's big problems with it. Chief among them, the duck costume with the duck's bland voice. I like the performances by Jeffrey Jones, Tim Robbins, and Lea Thompson, though Lea wasn't playing my Beverly. But she did reasonably well with the role, as it was written.
Yeah, I mean, and he pretty much sums it up pretty well. That's pretty much Howard the Duck.
It is.
What can I say? It kind of sucks.
It does, but if you haven't seen it, it is definitely worth seeing because of its cultural significance.
Yes.
As such a bad movie.
It's an amazing culmination of everything that was wrong with making movies in the 80s.
Right. By committee, and just
everything that could go wrong, making this did.
Right, and that is unfortunately, and I will blame the director and the writer, who is the same person with his wife. And they, when you go so far away from the source material, that's the first big mistake. Because then who are you making this movie for? You're not making it for the fan.
Yeah, if you read,
there was one fan.
If you read something and you go, you know what, I like this, but I can make it better.
It's The Witcher series, man. When you don't like the source material and you go away from it and you're openly hostile to it, and I'm not saying that this is what they were openly hostile to, the Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
But you're going to alienate the fans that like it because it's not going to be what they're expecting, what they want, because they're not looking for you to redefine the wheel.
Right.
Definitely not with Howard the Duck. And yeah, they sucked all the personality and fun out of the main character. I mean, at the end, when he's just running around in that golf court trying to shoot the,
goes at the big alien dark overlord.
Yes. Yeah. Who's, it's just, you can't have a bad guy who can, like, shoot beams and blow everything up.
Yeah. And then have him just...
And then not shoot the beams.
You run over his tail, and then he gets sad.
Yes.
It's like, what is going on?
Yes. And, and the whole, like... Howard, if you destroy it, you'll never get home. And it's like, well, if you don't destroy it, then everybody dies, including Howard, so who cares?
Yeah.
It's
very similar to Armageddon.
To Liv Tyler.
Like, can you bring my daddy home? Even though the world's going to end in 2.5 minutes.
So you can watch his ship blow up before we blow up? Sure thing, Liv Tyler. But yeah, there's so much wrong with it. But it is definitely worth a look. It is definitely worth seeing. It is the kind of movie that you can have fun with your friends. I do recommend, if you smoke, and if you drink.
Definitely.
And if you do both. It'll definitely make it more interesting.
It's
not
harmful.
A good
movie.
No.
It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie.
But it is a really interesting look at a slow-moving disaster. And you can see, while the movie is going on, all of the mistakes that that the people behind the scenes made, and the people in front of the scenes also made. But I blame the director, and especially for Tim Robbins, because he wasn't an extremely experienced actor back then.
No.
He was in what he thought was probably his huge break.
Yeah.
Because it's George
Lucas.
And so, he probably was doing everything that the director asked him to do.
Yeah.
And it just seems like this director was like, bigger.
Well, and I wouldn't be surprised if the director was yelling bigger one day and then like, no, you need to be more intimate the next day. Because the director did not know what he was doing.
No, and he's probably the kind of guy, and it didn't seem like it because I think Tim Robbins would have mentioned it, but, that he would blame the actor for the performance rather than his own directing. But but I think, I don't know. Making a movie is, you're working in a bubble, and you don't...
Yeah.
You could think that you're making the greatest thing in the world, and it's a bomb, or you could be thinking you're making the worst thing in the world, and it's a huge success. So it's very difficult, especially an effects-heavy movie where you're not going to get everything done until months later.
Right.
And so it is a huge risk, and it was much more difficult back then.
Yeah.
Because the effects were so different and primitive. So, I get it.
That pretty much sums up Howard the Duck.
Meh. It's a meh. But it's definitely worth a look if you can find it.
If you can find it, it's hard to find. It is. It's not. My guess is it's. I mean, it has been released on DVD. There was a whole bit on one of the Guardians of the Galaxy's Blu-rays where they had the Howard the Duck character complaining that Howard the Duck had never been released on Blu-ray. I don't think it did anything. I don't think it has been released.
Yeah.
Lea Thompson's talking about how she has ideas for doing a sequel with her starring in it with a Howard the Duck, like the CG character from the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff.
That'd be great.
She wants to direct it. Apparently she's doing some directing now. So
nice.
Like, you know,
let her have
none
it,
of it's
man.
going anywhere. Yeah.
I'd love to see it. I would love to see it. I would love to see. I think it would be interesting to see what the characters are doing now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, throw it on Prime or
yeah.
or Tubi. Make it a Tubi show.
Tubi movie.
You know.
All right. Well, that's all I got. We'll be back next week with another fantastical movie.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm so excited to talk about.
Not a duck, but a hawk this time. And both birds of a feather that suck together.
Oh my God. I know I've seen this movie. I don't remember anything about it.
All right, this one's 3 minutes and 35 seconds.
Yeah.
So
that's familiar. Him and Danny Aiello.
Howard the Duck. Hey. Look, it was a thankful. It was a thankless part.
And we'll cut this, but unfortunately, he's become kind of a crazy pants.
Oh no!
Yeah.
What is Bill Burt going around
Ben Burt.
Good God, what is wrong with me? I've had 18,000 grams of caffeine. Ben Burt, is that who it is?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just double checking.
My favorite part of. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. The Jeffersons, already in progress.